Hello, my fellow readers. Dark Symphony 777 with fanfiction reading. As always, a link to the story will be in the description below. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, click on that bell for notifications, leave a comment in the comment section below on your thoughts of the story and any future fanfictions you want me to review. So this is going to be a re-recording of Dummy's Merricup tale. I'm just going to read through it because the audio got distorted part way through. I don't know what happened. It just, for some reason, it just made me sound like Tim Curry. So I'm not even going to be saying anything outside of what's written on the story. No grammar errors or nothing like that. It's already been taken. I've already mentioned in the previous video of all the grammar errors. But yeah, I'm just going to be going through it. Just so I can get the proper footage for it. You would okay. You would think after traveling to different time periods alongside her friends and battling against the forces of Pitch and his cabal, which includes the lights of Prince Hans, Mother Gothel, and Michael Bloodface, you would be under the belief that Merida's anger would have been, at the very least, more control and temper. Sadly, this is not the case. In fact, it just made it better for her to ignore things she was not ready to address, but today she would have to confront those things head on. On the windswept hills of the Viking village of Berk, where sheep walk with little worry, except bad dragons spooking them from above, but today they happily chewed grass with nothing to disturb them this afternoon. That was until a portal opened up next to them in the field. The herd ran off, with startled baaing echoing behind them. When the commotion died down, 5 figures walked out of the portal. Rapunzel, Jack, Hiccup, Toothless, and Lassie Merida finally saw where they ended up this time. Bit windy here, gang. Wherever this is, said Rapunzel, watching her long hair being blown by the wind. Jack surveyed his surroundings, with his crook resting on his shoulders. You know, this does look familiar. I just can't put my finger on it. And I had never seen so many sheep in my life before, Merida spoke of. I have, said a now very happy Hiccup. He turned to Toothless. We're home, bud. The jet black dragon jumped for joy, as did his rider. Oh, this is Berk, Jack said. To be fair, the last time we were here, guys, it was dark and we were on the coast. Not much sightseeing was done that night. Reminisced Rapunzel. The four had helped with the sea battle by getting folks out of the water, which in turn helped the people to believe in Jack. Because of the event, Jack will be forever known to the descendants of the Vikings as a spirit of mischief and cold called Jokul Frosty. The Viking boy and his dragon laid on the grass making snow valkyries without the snow. Rapunzel was going to ask all the dragons that made Berk so famous for her, when all of a sudden a shape passed over their heads. Hiccup knew that blue and yellow blur anywhere. It's Stormfly and Astra, she shouted. The second Merida heard that girl's name, her blood boiled. From the Guardian of Fun and the Princess Corona point of view, Merida's hair seemed more red than usual, almost like it was now on fire. If Hiccup had seen the Scots' reaction, the day might have played out differently, but he didn't. So the Viking boy and his Night Fury were now chasing the deadly Natter and Rider, unaware of Merida's reaction. When Hiccup had left, a silence hovered over the three. You all right there, Mare? Jack asked cautiously. Merida turned her head slowly. She answered through gritted teeth. Me, I am fine. Why wouldn't I be? Now let's get going. Merida stormed off. She seems upset, Jack said. Yeah, she does, Rapunzel retorted. The two that was once three followed the direction of the redhead princess. Do you ever think Hick knows how she feels about him? Probably not. Hick is good in 3 subjects, inventing, drawing, and dragons. But women, I like the guy and all, but in that field he is a lost cause. Like you're a ladies' man, Frost. I got Elsa to fall for me, didn't I? The way I hear it, it was you who fell for her. Who told you that? Elsa herself. Just keep being sassy, Goldilocks, and I will take to the air and leave you here to walk on your own. You wouldn't do that. Oh, wouldn't I, Jack grinned. No, you wouldn't, not Jack. Frost rocket in the sky. Maybe he would. Excuse me. Thinking how in one moment the gang was all happy and together, and now she was on her own in the cold. Popping his head out of the long blonde hair by her neck, Pascal the chameleon shivered, wishing for a warmer climate to be sent to. It took the girl a while to catch up with her friends, and she got herself lost. Twice. Once was in a hedge, and another time was falling down a huge hole. She later got told it was dug out by a whispering death, a large and aggressive dragon species. This one in particular had a long-standing grudge against Toothless, but at long last the three came back together on the outskirts of the hooligan village. As the trio made their way through the streets, head turned to take in the strangers. To be fair, they did sound like sore thumbs. Frost was loving this, to be seen, to be heard after so long. It never got old for him. The people of Burke had fought the Dunburg clan and his allies for many a year. Both suffered from a conflict no one really remembered the reason for or who started in the first place. But the Nightmare King Pitch saw power for himself and their fear, so he took advantage of the 14's absence by sending Hans back in time to stoke the flames of hate. With lies and warnings to the leaders of the two peoples, he spoke of an impending attack. He got his way in the end with a full-out war between Vikings and the Scots. Ships smashed into ships, dragonfire and arrows rang down over the black ocean. But Merida Hiccup would show them another way. A better way. The girl smiled a secret smile, remembering that daybreak with the magic of one of Nort's snow globes, they brought Stoic, Gobber, Eleanor, and Fergus to a small scrap of land overlooking the conflict. They stood facing their families, pleading them to listen. They told them about the Guardians and the Man in the Moon, and how he asked the Four to travel to stop Pitch and his ilk, even if it meant going through time. Hick and Mare spoke of the Nightmare King's plans, and they were walking right into his hands if this war never ended. So a hot-headed tomboy and a skinny adventurer made, at long last, peace between their two peoples. With armies pulling back, the King of Dunbroch and the Chief of Brook shook hands. Your girl's got a big heart there. You should be proud of her, Fergus. I am. And your laddie there got a good head on his shoulders. So you should be proud of him, Stoic. Hans ran off as soon as he saw his little war had gone south. Me and Hiccup did that, the Scot said quietly, as Rapunzel asked the fisherman where the chief's son had headed off to. He directed them to the great hall. The trio walked up the steps and saw a crowd made of 5 teens and 2 adults shouting and throwing Hiccup in the air, and then catching when he came down. All the while, dragons watched him from outside. Hiccup the hero! Hiccup the hero! Hiccup the hero! Excuse me. On the last throw, Hiccup was caught by Stoic. Glad you're home, my boy. Thanks, Dad. Father and son then hugged. Okay. I was just checking the time. As then Hick saw the 3 over his dad's gigantic shoulder. Guys, you're here. Everyone turned to see who he was talking to. And who are they, Shorty? Snotlout said with a chuckle. Jack chipped in with, oh, you called him that too, huh? Thought I was the only one. Hiccup sighed. Great. Just start a Hiccup stupid name club already, why don't you? Stoic put his son down and greeted the newcomers. Welcome to Burke's Friends of Hiccup. Rapunzel put her hands up. I hate to split hairs with you, Mr. Haddock Chief, sir. Split hairs. I mean, we have been here before, remember? Stoic gave his son a sideways glance, but Hiccup just shrugged. I know, and remember, young lady, but if you remember, we were all fighting for our lives at the time. So we could not all get acquainted, could we? You have a point there, sir. Jack leant his head to hers and said, finishing embarrassing yourself, Corona? Rapunzel went red-faced. Pascal confronted her, comforted her by patting her cheek. Still haven't been told who they are, Snotlock repeated with an air of annoyance. I remember them, said Fishlegs. Stoic rolled his eyes. Yes, Fishlegs, we have been over this a second ago. I swear Gobber's kids today just don't listen. Not like when we were young, Stoic. We had to keep up with things, or we would freeze to death. Those were the days. We still freeze to death, Gobbert. Hickard pointed out with a deadpan expression. Yes, but not as often. Well, as chief of Burke, I must be off to attend my duties. Like it, Hiccup's surprise feast ready. My Odin Gobber! Well done for telling the boy. What feast, Dad? Your surprise feast, Hiccup, for returning. But thanks to Gobba, it is now not so surprising. My fault. I get too excited sometimes. Stoic shook his large head at his old friend and gestured to Gobber to come with him. The two leaving the teens to mingle, and that is when it happened. The mingling consisted of 2 ranks of teens sitting at a long wooden table, watching each other with the odd cough breaking the silence. On one side was Hiccup's new friends, on the other his old ones, with him at one end on his own. Hick's eyes darted between both groups, waiting for anything to happen. Toothless walked up to Hiccup, thinking the Night Fury had come over to lend support. Thanks, bud. I knew I could count on you. He whispered. The dragon looked at the 2 lanes of teens, looked back at his rider, then walked off with a loud growl, which roughly translate means, you're on your own, kid. In the end, it was Jack who made the first move. Hi, I'm Jack Frost, guardian of fun and leader of this little ragtag team. How are you, the leader? Rapunzel said, snorting with laughter. Well, I am the oldest of us 4, and your point being, and I'm the best fighter out of us. I think Merida would say differently. Mare? Merida just kept looking forward, not saying a word, but Astrid did notice that most of her glare was directed at her. Rapunzel introduced herself with an outstretched hand. I am Rapunzel Corona, and this strangely quiet, for some reason, pal of mine is Merida of Dunbroach. She realized she was holding her trusty frying pan. She was about to put it away when Rough Nut saw it and spoke. Hi, the name's Rough Nut, and this is my bro Tough Nut. And what's that? What's this? Just my frying pan. What's a frickin' pan? Tough Nut now continuing his sister's question. It's for cooking food, Rapunzel answered. Oh, like a dish iron. Is it any good at hitting with? Yes, I do that all the time. My weapon of choice. Not too bad if I do say so myself. Wait. Okay. There we go. With that, Rough Nut snatched the frying pan and hit it over her brother's head many times until he fell to the ground. Rapunzel gasped. Jack's jaw hit the floor. Even Merida was taken aback by it. For a second anyway, she returned to her ill-tempered mood very quickly. Everyone else was not too shocked by it. As for the three newcomers, it was unexpected, but for the teens of Burke, seeing the twins giving each other concussions, that was just Dora's day. The girl with the long gold hair tried to speak, but after seeing that, whatever it was, all she could get out of her throat was, is he? Pascal taking action in his own tiny claws, grabbed the princess's face, and slapped the stutter out of her. Coming back to her senses, she thanked him, and he gave a thumbs up. Is he alright? What, my brother? Yeah, he's fine. So what do you give this frickin' pan out of 10, bro? Frying pan, not frickin' pan, Rough. Ruff's eyes rolled at the princess for correcting her. Fine. What do you give this frying pan out of 10, Tough? Tuff's hands popped up with seven fingers. 7. Not bad, girl. Blonde girl, it passes the hit test. Rapunzel was confused by the statement, as there was 2 more on Ruff's side with blonde hair. Why single me out? They saw Merida was shaking her face. Sorry about that. Ruff then chucked the pan back at her. It was then Merida just got up and headed to the door. Everyone did not know what was going on. They saw Merida was shaking. Her face had tears running down it. Her hands were clenched so hard that she might not even hold a bowl right again. But Merida didn't care. Too long she had held it all in and pushed it deep down. It had to burst out someday. She just wished it was not today of all days. Jack and Rapunzel called out after her. Merida, come back! She looked back at them, but she saw Hiccup's face over Jack's shoulders. What is wrong, Hick said. That broke her. What's wrong, he says. What's wrong? You can go boil your head too, Hiccup. Scott ran off out of the hall. Hiccup shouted after her. He turned to the group. I have to go see what's wrong there, guys. Hick left with Toothless at top speed. The teens were dumbfounded, until Rough Nut said, wow, girls. Am I right? They just looked in disbelief at her. They just looked in disbelief at her. What? She said. You're a girl too, idiot. Tough Nut informed his sister. How dare you? Take that back, Sheepbread. Not gonna happen, sis. Oh, you think so, do you? She grabbed her brother's neck. They both fell to the ground, and Rough Nut went in for a chokehold. Jack watching the twins rolling around the stone floor. They pulled hair, said curse words, punched noses, then started to bite each other. A lot of biting, in fact. I'm guessing this goes on a lot, he asked Blinky. Astrid nodded. It's best in the long run to just let themselves tire out, then interfere. See, they're asleep already. The siblings were out like a light, with Tough Nut's head resting on his sister's back, both snoring loudly. Mouths open, dribbling. Look at that, son girl, Jack said. Sandy's at it again. That little guy is regular as clockwork. Fishlegs approached the two. Hello, my name is Fishlegs. I'm a friend of Hiccup. I mean, we all are. And so are you. I mean, I saw you the night that the battle was going on, and can I ask something, Jack? Ask away. The invisible dragon you are riding. Is it related to Changewing? But it can't be, as it clearly has ice-based abilities. Must be a new as-yet undiscovered species. Can I document it and put it in Book of Dragons, please? Rapunzel giggled and Jack cracked a cheeky smile. I don't know what to tell you, Fish, but I need no flying lizard. Not Sarah, I am following you. Jack tilted his head to Rapunzel. Think I can show them puns? The teens showed the newcomers to the Dragon Academy training arena. Jack walked a few steps from them. Frost then floated up slowly. The Burke teens, the ones still awake anyway, gasped and looked on as Jack flew on the wind all over the training grounds. But as weird and magical a sight as it was, him ducking and diving, passing the dragon, spraying flood and snow as he went. Astrid maintained her composure, like she has been somehow given a heads up beforehand on what Jack could do. didn't stop Octane from trying to bite the air frantically to catch him, but when he missed, fire spread over the monster's nightmare spit-covered body in anger, with a twitching eye as a cherry on top. Meat Lug slipped behind her on the ice, having a whale of a time. Stormfly had snow dropped on her head when Jack looped the loop over her, and Barf and Belch lost track of the strange flying blue thing at one point. He hovered behind them, dodged their line of sight, then just floated between their necks, pretending to look for the blue thing as well. Jack could not get over how long it took them to notice him. He came back to terra firma with a somersault and a bow. Everyone gave a standing ovation. There was no dragon. How did you do all that? Fishleg was stunned. Rapunzel answered before Jack could get a single word out. Well, that is what happens when you die and then get brought back to life by the man in the moon, I guess. The teens did not even know what to say at this point, except for Astrid, who was no less impressed by what she saw, but gazed at the overcast sky with a look of concern and said simply, I wonder how Hiccup's doing right now, with Merida. Gray clouds ruled the skyline unopposed all day, but Hiccup and Toothless dispersed them in their search for Merida. Eyes ever peeled, the wind battered both the faces of the chief's son and his dragon. Do you see her, Toothless? Hiccup bellowed to fight in the rushing air. Toothless shook his large head. Where could she have gone, bud? The Night Fury scanned the ground, then saw a dot of red by the cliffside overlooking the sea. Growl. What, bud? Oh, wait, I see her, too. Let's land there, Tooth. They swooped down not far from where Merida was. She sat on the grass, watching the sea crash against the rocks below, her hood now up, covering her massive red hair, and bow on her lap. Hiccup slowly walked closer. Merida, you okay? We have been looking for you everywhere. Merida did not turn to him. Hiccup looked at the ground, not knowing what to say. He came up and sat beside her. He too watched the sea. Excuse me. The world turned at the same speed that it always has, but for the two sitting there at this moment, it felt like an eternity had come and went. Merida, I like that you like the sea by my home, but what's wrong? Nothing came from the sky. Did I do something wrong? I only asked because you told me to go boil my head. And it would hurt me for sure, but you know if you told Jack to do that, his head might have melted. Hick's attempts to lighten the mood fell on deaf ears. Guessing I did something wrong then. You did, Hiccup. Just forget it. Merida hugged her knees. Please, Merida, tell me. She turned to him with fresh tears running down her cheeks for the second time that hour. How can you forgive so quick those who hurt you, Hiccup? The young Viking now knew why she was so sad and angry. That is why you shouted at my friends? You stupid Viking. How can you be so kind like that? Hiccup mulled over the question, because that was the past, and I don't move on and forgive and forget. I will be back where I started. But they picked on you, Hick. I know, but that was then. Me, Fish, Rough, Tough, my cousin Snot, and Astrid, we have defended Burke for so long that we have become more than friends. They are like family. How I feel about you guys. I'm sorry to say the Scottish princess mind cherry-picked what Hiccup had said. All she heard was about Astrid. There's that Astrid again, Merida whispered, but Hiccup did not catch what she said. You get what I mean, don't you, Merida? I guess so. Let me just check the time. Okay. Merida said, wiping the last of her tears with her sleeve. Still sounds a lot for you to just let fall by the wayside, Hick. Well, if your mom, Eleanor the Queen, can get over the whole being turned into a bear and ended up helping you and her get closer again, does it not make my situation look kind of boring by comparison? Well, you did fight a huge ugly dragon, which is a wee bit bigger than a demon bear. Hiccup got up and struck a heroic pose. But you got me there. He then flexed his non-existent muscles. I cannot disagree with you, fair maiden, for I only have one leg to stand on. Merida snickered. Was that a joke you just did? Yeah, I'm better at playful sarcasm, aren't I? Maybe hanging out with Jack too much was a bad idea. Oh well. He held an outstretched hand for her to take. You okay now, Mer? Nothing else upsetting you? Nothing else you want to say? Of course there was. A big, huge thing Merida wanted to tell. But if she told him and it went south, they might not be friends as before. She played out what might happen if she told him and what was hiding in her heart. Would he turn her away? Would it be worth it? Let's not rock the boat. No, Hick. All better now. Good to hear, Mer. Let's get back to the others. They must be wondering where we are. Back at the training grounds, Rapunzel was having a great time telling her new friends all about the Man on the Moon, and how he charged Jack with the Guardian's guidance, of course, to find new heroes in the fight against Pitch's alliance of fearmongers. Jack was sent in time to search. That is where Hick, Merida, and herself came in. Frost found them, made a team from them, but the four ended up becoming much more. That being said, she immediately regretted telling the writers of Berk about her magic healing hair. Come on, stop. Okay. Not because she didn't trust them, far from it. The reason was because the moment after saying it, the twins, who without second thought if it was a bad idea or not, started to think up ways to give each other injuries to see how the magic worked. And here they were watching the eighth version of the twin plan. Tough Nut yelled from one side of the arena to his sister, who was stationed at the under end. On the count of 3, sis, okay? 3, gotcha! Fish Legs covered his eyes. I can't watch this disregard for human life again, I tell you. I just can't. Wish I never showed Miss Rapunzel my bruised elbow now. Snotlout flippantly responded with, fine, be a girl about it, but let me enjoy the view. The twins got in position. 1, 2, 2, go! Ah! They could have at least went on 3, as agreed, grumbled Astrid. The siblings ran at top speed and crashed head-to-head, throwing them in the air. Even after seeing Rough and Tough nearly knocking their heads off, Jack could not help himself. A chance like this would not let be slip through his fingers. Twirling his crook and then holding it like a microphone, he said, in a world where Vikings never knew what concussions were, a brave brother and sister will invent it. They stumbled in circles, dazed and confused, holding their temples just barely standing up straight. Excuse me. Then they lost the battle and fell over moaning in pain. Rapunzel just walked up to the twins, knelt down, and repeated the spell for the 8th time with a yawn. Flowers gleam and glow, let your power shine, make the clock reverse, bring back what once was mine, heal what has been hurt, change the fate's design, save what has been lost, bring back what's once mine. What once was mine, as the magic worked her hair became a river of shivering gold on the gray stone floor. I will tell you, kid, seeing that does not get old, Jack said, perching on his crook. Tough got to his feet, refreshed and healed, soon joined by Rough. Thanks, Blondie, we owe you. But you're blonde too. You know what? Forget it, you don't owe me. But you do. Can you do one thing? What? Rough said, licking a stiff neck. Not hers, her brother's. No, hurting yourselves. Please, the Nut sibling sighed. Fine, Rough pouted. We were going to move on to jumping from a flying barf belch, but as you are a pal, we will take a pass for the day. For today. Oh, jumping from a flying dragon. Good. Nice to hear that you two are not going to do something more dangerous than before, Fish Legs whimpered. Rough Nut blew a raspberry back at him. It was then Rapunzel noticed Pascal was not with her. The group looked high and low, and then they eventually found him. They found him in a very bad place indeed. Right in front of Hookfang's nose was Pascal. Mean eyes locked onto Pascal's, but Pas did not budge an inch. Silly question, Snot, but your dragon is friendly, right? Rapunzel asked, with no attempt to hide the worry in her voice. What, Hook? Yeah, sure he is. The monstrous nightmare snorted at the chameleon, smoke leaving his nostrils. Well, he can be a little thin-skinned sometimes. Jack brought up the Hook that tried to eat him not long ago, but Snot reassured them that was his way of showing love. Hookfang was about pushed to his breaking point. How could a little, tiny, small green lizard think he can stand up to him? Hookfang, the baddest monstrous nightmare you could find for leagues. Hook knew what would take the wind out of this micro-nuisance sail. Hook chuckled deeply. Pascal narrowed his eyes. Hook roared at the top of his lungs right at him. The sound was deafening. Everyone, rider and dragon alike, shielded their ears. The chameleon tumbled back, landing on his owner's feet. Rapunzel picked him up. You're not hurt, are you, Pascal? Pas held her thumb, saying he was okay. That is what you get for fighting when you fight a big dog puppy, Snotlout said, tapping Pas's head. Pascal was not taking this lying down. Mother Gothel was the last bully he would take spit from. The chameleon leaped out of her hand and right back into the fray. A hush spread over the place. Pascal was back, much to the charging Hook. Its huge face of dragon was now inches from the small lizard. Fine, Hook thought. You want to be lunch? So be it. A huge mouth full of large teeth next to even larger teeth. And what happened then? Well, in the Berk, they say, Hookfang's bad boy image shrunk 3 sizes that day. Pascal took aim and fired his long, sticky tongue right up the towering dragon's nose. Hookfang did not move. His brain was still processing what occurred. When it eventually hit home, Hook went berserk, fluttering like a fish on dry land. He jumped and rolled in a desperate bid to rid himself from the attacker, but Pas did not let it go. He, in fact, made the most of it, landing right on the bridge of his ride's nose. He danced a mocking dance on top of it. He finally let go when Hook lunged in for a bite. Snapping jaws thankfully missed his target. Pascal jumped off and landed in Rapunzel's arms. She raised him next to her face. Pascal, you could have You could have gotten yourself. Don't scare me like that, okay? Pascal put his tiny claws on her face to say sorry for worrying his friends. Oh, Paz, I can't stay mad at you. Snotlout tried to get Hook Faint under control, but when the monstrous nightmare is mad, they catch on fire, which is exactly what Hook did. Snotlout was like a human candle. I'm on fire! Put me out! Put me out! Put me out! Jack did with a blast of snow. A mound of white was now by the arena wall, exactly where Snot was last seen. You alright, Snot? Astrid shouted. A very cold-headed Snotlout poked from the snow. Do I look alright to you? He angrily barked. Well, you did ask me put out, didn't you? Jack smiled. Snot brushed off the snow, shivered, and stood up. I meant like water, dingus. Should have been more specific. Jack smiled even more so now. Snot stormed out of the snow pile to deck the lovable troublemaker, Elsa's pet name for Jack, not mine. But Hiccup and Toothless lying in between the two, just in the nick of time. Strangely, Merida was not with them. Snot, you were not going to hit Jack, were you? If I was, I would be in my right for payback. Jack feigned innocence, but I'd put you out. Snot, old buddy, old pal of mine. Put me out by or trying to break my neck. It can't be the latter, as you have no neck. Why, you white-headed runt? Let me check the time. Alright. Moving much faster. Snot went to grab Jack's hoodie, but Jack took a step back. Hick then dismounted from Tooth and stood in the middle of them. Snot, I really wouldn't punch him, even if he deserves one now and then. Why not? Tell me I like a good laugh, Hick. Because Elsa would not take too kindly you doing that. Excuse me. Snot had a look of a confused but angry sheep. What's it, Elsa, and why should I be afraid of it? Fish Legs put a hand up. Miss Corona spoke about Elsa. Remember, Snot? Legs, I wasn't paying attention. Anyway, if she is anything like Blondie over there, I really am quaking in my boots. Not. Upon hearing the word Blondie, Rapunzel just lost it. Again with the blonde thing. It's not a thing. It will never be a thing. So I'm blonde. Guess what? So are like 4 you guys and 1 dragon over there. Clear as day. Her name is Stormfly, Miss Corona, Fishlegs chirped in. Not missing a beat, she continued. Thank you, Fishlegs. Storm is a blonde too. No big deal. It's quite common, okay? Stormfly was eating some fish from a barrel when she heard her name brought up in the conversation. Storm soon realized what the girl was going on about, but did not contradict her about having spikes instead of hair. Like so many humans seem to have, she did not want to upset the girl even more so if it could be helped. The girl was obviously having a bad day, and to pick her up on her mistake now would just be plain rude. Snot returned to lining a puncher of Frost. Jack seemed fazed by this, even going so far as yawn uninterested by the threat. Snot, I repeat, do not do this. Still haven't given me a good reason, Shorty. You saw him. He has magic cold powers, right? Yeah, I saw light. Alright. Up close. I still want payback. But Elsa, yeah, you said that already. Got anything better than that? No. Okay. Fist to face in 1, 2. She is a queen and has powers like him. But worse. Hick screamed. Snot's fist stopped centimeters from Jack's nose. This front got together with a queen? Yes, he did. Seriously? Yes, he did. Still don't see why I should be afraid of. Hick just shook his head in disbelief. So a queen with ice magic and her huge army ready to fight does not make you stop to wonder if this is a good idea. You can see the gears Snot heads turn over, thinking of a way to back out without looking like the prospect of being on the wrong side of a queen scared him. You don't think she would be like mad or something, do you, Hick? Who can tell? All I know is what royals do to people who mess with them. What do they do? Hick looked at Jack and back to Snot. Would you prefer an ice dungeon or a guillotine, Snot? What is a guillotine? It's worse than a dungeon, trust me. How is it worse, Haddock? Pray to Odin, you'll never find out. Snot exhaled deeply. Another time, Frost Snot said as he walked off annoyed. Come on, stop that. You don't really think Elsa will do all that stuff for me, do you, Hick? Hiccup looked Jack up and down and spoke. What, hurt Snot? No, I only said that to spook him. Peace is always on the Snow Queen's mind. But if you mean, would she fight truth enough for you against the likes of Pitch or even Maleficent? Then yes, for sure, she would. I don't think she'd go to the beheading route, but just think of how she sent Hans packing back to his family after what he did to her and Anna. Excuse me, and he was going to send him to Valhalla. What are you saying, Hick? I am saying, Jack, you're important to her. Like she is to you. And I think, no one and nothing will stop her feeling that way. Yeah, I think you're right, Haddock. To think what my snowflake would do to protect little old me, give me a fuzzy feeling inside. Hick's face went red with embarrassment. I think that is too much sharing for one day. Thank you, Jack. Hiccup said, hoping to end the conversation. Just didn't stop Jack from carrying on. Must be the same fuzzy feeling you had when you woke up with Merida holding you while she was sleeping. Hick turned even redder now. You remember right when we had to hunker down for the night in that cave? Can't say I do, Hick lied. When did Merida call you in her sleep again? I have no idea what you're talking about. Rapunzel ran up to them. I remember what she did. She called you her teddy bear. It must have been your fur vest next to her face that did it. Anyhow, where's Merida anyway? Ditto, where has the redhead gone to, Hiccup, Jack said. Hiccup was thankful for a small change of topic. I dropped her off at the hall. Says she has something to take care of. If truth be told, I did wonder what she was up to. Well then, you better get back there and find out, son. He turned around to see Stoic and Gobber. Dad, Gob, back from setting up the surprise I see. Well, someone had to oversee the welcome back feast for you young ones. I can say that out loud now as you already knew about it. Yes, and refresh my memory, Gob. How did Hiccup find out in the first place? What's this again, Stowe? Oh, Gob makes one mistake, and he is marked for life until Ragnarok. I might just find a hole to sit in and wait for the end to come. Bit dramatic, Gob. I'm thinking of going into the market as an actor, actually. A one-legged, one-armed Viking? I admit it is a bit of a niche market that I will be throwing my helmet in. Stoic looked in disbelief with the day he was having. But he then went back to telling the group to go to the hall, as the whole village was waiting for him. As they returned to the great hall, a burnt orange sunset overhead won the battle with the moody gray that had conquered Burke's skyline for most of the day. Almost like a hint of even better changes to come, climbing the steps, they saw the hall's huge door open up to show a great sight. Now the whole village welcomed them to Burke, and right in front of the crowd was Merida. When all the cheering died down and the people had moved on to the matter of celebrating, Merida walked up to Hiccup. You helped with this feast, didn't you, Mayor? He said, I wanted to do something to apologize for the way I acted earlier. She then walked up to the writers. I hope you lot can forgive me. They nodded with that idea. But not Astrid, who gestured to Merida to come with her. Merida prepared for the worst and followed. Everyone else at a table Snot complained that he had ended up sitting next to Jack. A twinge was up to some sort of skullduggery by placing something under it. And Fishlegs and Hiccup laid the top with plates and cups. Rapunzel put Pascal on top of Toothless's head so she could go help the boys with that task. The two reptiles were then soon joined by the Burke dragons. Hookfang even conceded, with some persuading from the other dragons, that Pass beat him fair and square. And so bygones be bygones. Later on, you could even see both sleeping in each other's company, with Pascal on Hook's head, changing from his normal color of green to Hook's black above his eye and back again with every snore. The two girls moved to a less busy part of the hall. The fire crackling was the only other voice between them now. Astrid, you want an explanation for the way I acted earlier? If you would let me, I can explain. I know why you were giving me the old death glare, Merida. You do know how? It is about Hiccup. Am I right? The redheads now looked in the fire with a conflicted expression on her face. Astrid patiently watched as the flames danced in the Scott's eye. Knowing she was putting the words she had to say in order. You like him, don't you, Merida? Merida continued to stare at the fire, pretending to not understand what was said. But in the end, answered the question. I do like him. I like him a lot. So much it hurts sometimes. I thought as much. But you like him too. Am I right, Astrid? Merida at long last broke away from the flames and now turned at the girl next to her, to see if she was wrong in her suspicions. She hoped she was wrong. She hoped more now than any other time in life. A moment passed and Astrid spoke. Yes, I do like Hiccup too, but not in the way you think. What do you mean? Before the peace, when your lot, the Scots, and my lot, the Vikings, were bashing heads together, no thanks to that scummy Hans and his boss. I remember. That night, when you four came out of the blue and stopped it and helped us get along. Astrid now took Merida's place, looking into the hearth replaying that night in her mind's eye. You four swooped in and saved people. Didn't matter what side they were on, what flag they stood under, just came in and pulled the Scot and Viking alike out of harm's way. Astrid's lips grew into the biggest, warmest smile that had ever been. I have never seen such a bunch of heroes in my life as I did that night when black waters were covered by dragonfire and arrows. You guys was not fate, just one thing to do. Save everyone you could find, and fear was not going to help you or hold you back. It was not going to stop you and hold you back. Merida did not know what to say. All that time not liking her in her head, hating her in fact, but now to hear just Astrid speak about them in such a way, All that came out of her mouth was, "Oh, Astrid?" And after all that madness, before Hick said goodbye to his dad and Gower and all the riders, but he sat me down, not Fish Legs or Roughnut, but me. And we talked for over an hour, all about everything and nothing, like that battle never even took place. Let me check the time. Merida did wonder where Hick was before they left the portal. Now she knew, like Merida before. Astrid pulled herself away from the fire. He told me about the Guardians, and pitched Jack and Rapunzel, and this is why they use their magic. Seems I will have to get used to knowing magic exists for real now. That is why I was impressed, blown away even, but I was told ahead of time. Merida looked back to the busy hall. Hiccup was sitting and chatting with the teens. It was far too loud to make out what was being said. She did see Snotlout shaking his fist at Jack, and maybe saw Jack mouth the words, "Let it go," back to him. But there was clearly laughter and happy times being spent at the table. He told me about where and when you guys have been. Merida still watched the table, taking in every word the Viking girl was telling her. He told me about the peoples and lands you saw, like a boy with a huge metal giant from the stars, and a beast of a man and a girl made of lightning and numbers so tiny. What was it again? Both lives in a box? Merida returned to face Astrid, only to see her softly weeping but still smiling. I bet you were thinking, why is she crying? Now that you mention it, I am not sad. Far from it. Why then? I'm happy, that's why. I don't get it. Because, Highlander, of all the crazy things he told me, it was you, Merida, that he put the most energy in. Astrid reached out and held Merida's hand. He told me about you, and if it was not for you, he was going off to have the adventure that he had. Now both of Astrid's hands were now holding both of Merida's. I have never seen Hick so happy in my life as I did that night when he was telling me all about the person that you are. He spoke of a bull-headed shot young ranger, a royal no less. I have never seen Hick so happy in my life. But guess what he told me most about her? Above her skills with the bow, above everything in fact. The princess stammered. What? Did he says? Her heart, that's what. Merida felt more lost than if she was exploring the forest of Dunbroach as she did as a child. Then why hasn't Hick told me this before? I would say all the same back to him. Why haven't you, End? I was scared. I was scared that it was only me who felt that way. Trust me, you are not alone. Really. Listen, Hick is bright as polished oaf burps, but shy at his core. Not unlike yourself right now. Excuse me, but you may have to take the first step. Both of you dummies will be going around in circles forever. Merida knew now, for better or for worse, what to do. Little tip from one shield maiden to another. Get in quick before Ruff or some girl on the island starts to notice him for more than just being Stoic Son. And I say this about Ruff particularly, who I count as a sister, but she would be hazardous to his health, to say the least. The two girls looked back at the table to see the twins now arm wrestling blindfolded and playing a game of tug-of-war with a dead fish with their teeth. I see what you mean, Ass, Merida said with a twinge of fear. Tough and Rough had only survived this long thanks to their extra strong bones. They never ceased to amaze me, Merrick. They watched their brother and sister in horror, trying to forget what they saw. Astrid asked Merida once more. You know what to do, right, Red? I do. I would like to put this behind us if we can, and start over, as friends. I would like that. The girls embraced and returned to the party. As they got closer, thunder came from the Burke inhabitants, like a wave reaching the rafters, with all the eating and drinking, smashed with singing songs of the good old days off key. Merida could hear Hiccup was saying now. So I asked him how he made the paper spring into life. He told me his magic came out with his shamation, which is kind of like a lyre we got here in Burke. Wow, that is so cool, escaped Fishleg's mouth. The twins were not as swayed. Paper magic is all fine and dandy for you one-leg toughnut scoffed, but what might be more not so boring might be seeing Miss Longhair here try to down a big, tall tankard of yak nog. Hiccup knew all too well what yak nog tastes like, and did not want Rapunzel to, by any circumstance, suffer the same fate shared by too many people before her. He dodged the question. I am sure Puns would love to, but as Snaggletog is months away, she can't have the pleasure. He avoided a crisis there. Oh, how wrong he was. Well, I would not be too sure about that, Hick, Roughnut remarked while reaching under the table. Look what we got here. It was, you guessed it, a tankard of yak nog. Hiccup's stomach cramped up just looking at it. He swore it moved.
I don't think I can drink all of it, and you can give me a hand, Jack said Rapunzel innocently. Jack rolled his eyes. Fine puns. Hey, Heckle and Jekyll, can you two get one more cup for me? The twins looked at each other with dark glee, and said in unison, we are sure we can find one. Hiccup was about to intervene when someone tapped him on the shoulder. Merida is 3 inches taller than Hiccup. I am telling you this little fact in the hopes of setting the scene for you better, so you can understand what unfolded next. Hiccup turned to see who was tapping. Merida's face now came into view. Her face was right next to his. Oh, Merida, can I help you with something? He could not even finish the next word. Merida grabbed his fur vest and pulled him close. Aye, there is, Viking boy. She kissed him long and deep. Hick's eyes were huge, but they closed slowly. He drank in every second. Red galloped across his freckled face and spread to her. For the chief's son, it was all like his... I keep burping. It was like all his snaggle-togs had come at once. She pulled back to breathe, but he grabbed her back for more. The teens were stunned, not Jack and Rapunzel though. They had seen this coming a long time ago and screamed in excitement, Yes, Merida, go girl, my boy Hick. Merida and Hiccup could not hear them. They could not hear much of anything really. They were the sole inhabitants in a little world of their own. After what seemed like a forever and a day had passed, the Scot and the Viking violently returned back to Earth, but not without a giggling fit. Gigantic footsteps headed towards them, and even more gigantic arms picked them up to make a bear hug. Stoic beamed with joy. My boy, I knew Eleanor and Fergus, little girl, and you were courting. Didn't I tell you, Gobber? Okay. Did I not tell you did not, and even asked old Gobber here what she was up to when she walked up to him. I am sure you just didn't hear me. So I have lost my leg and hand, not my ears. Well, not that anyway. Semantics, Gob. What's that? So let me find where I was at again, because I had to do something real quick. But not without a giggling fit. Gigantic footsteps headed toward them, and even more gigantic arms picked them up and make a bear hug. Stoic beamed with joy. My boy, I knew Eleanor and Fergus's little girl, and you were courting. Didn't I tell you, Gobbert? Oh, sure you did. You did not? Oh, wait, yeah, I was right here. Semantics, Gob. At the end of the day, who cares? My little boy's found a young lady to care for. Only if she can take an air. What? The young people you're holding like a vice is going blue there, so. Stoic then looked at the young couple that he was carrying, and yes, blue was very much in season. Stoic let go and put them down straight away. Hick and Mare's face changed, right back to normal color thanks to the fresh supply of air. Sorry, son. Sorry, princess. The teens just waved it off. It is okay, Dad. Really. Cough. No harm done, and Merida's fine. No need for a princess. Right, Mr. Haddock, Chief, sir? Okay, Merida, but I will on to do the same. Gobber poked into the chat with, well, you want to be called Merida too, so bit funny if you ask me. Stoic just gave him a thank you for ruining the mood look. Stoic will do just fine, young lady. The chief finished speaking, still looking at his old mate who was smirking. Merida nodded. Aye, Stoic it is then. Just then they saw a fee not seen all too often on Lake Isles Burke. Fish legs running. He stopped right in front of them, gasping for breath. A panicked look had hold of the large boy. Fish, where's the fire? Aye, you okay there, lad? Hick, Merida. Wheeze. How are you, sir? Wheeze. Sorry to interrupt, wheeze. I could see you were having a heartfelt moment here. Wheeze. Which I think is important to keep a family happy. Fish, get to the point, boy. What's wrong to make you of all people run? Stoic snapped. Yes, sir. Wheeze. Hick, Mare, come back to the table. We are just doing that, Fish, but you stopped us. No, wheeze. Right now I mean on the double. Wheeze. It doesn't matter how life was. Wheeze. Why is that, Fish legs? Because Jack, wheeze. And Miss Corona is going to always. What, man? What are they going to do? Merida now said. Drink! The drink! What drink, Fish? Fish grabbed Hick's collar in more panic. Yak nog! Wheeze! Yak nog! He said. Hick's brain snapped back to before the kissing. He was just about to stop the twins from doing just that. Terror gripped the 4 Vikings, but the Scot was confused. What is yak nog, Hig? It's a drink Astrid cooked up, Mare. She makes every snaggle-tog, and it's horrible. But why do you let her make it? Gubber answered by counting the spikes on his mace hand like you would do with your fingers, because 1, she can't cook to save her life, and to criticize her would break her little heart. And 2, we are just too stupid to not do that and spare the community. Hiccup and Merida now noticed how far they were from the table. They must have been walking when they were kissing. They found out later that just before Stoic bear hugged them, And while they were still kissing, they had knocked over the grumpy old mildew and his pet sheet fungus. Gubber did think seeing the old moaner do a cartwheel in the air was funny, and maybe, just maybe, Gubber heard, just maybe heard Fungus saying something that when he fell back to Midgard like they put his hip out. But who can tell? It was a very loud haul. Old Gob can't keep track of all the things he hears in one day. Excuse me? We have to get back before they drink the bog water, Hick said, now running toward the table. Right behind you, Viking boy, Merida yelled, catching up to him. Fish just gave up and started to slowly move with them. Great! More running. Yippee! Hick, Mare, and Fish now ran back to their friends. Well, Hick and Mare did. Poor Fish just managed to walk. But Hick did double back and hug his dad again for good measure, and then joined the table run once more. The Viking leader stood still and watched the three go off with a huge smile. He could not get over how much his son had changed, yet at the same time still remained his little boy. Gobber elbowed him in the ribs to get his attention. You big girl. What now, Gob? You're crying. I have something in my eye. It has been there all day. I just did not say anything as I had been off my feet. Yeah, whatever. It helps you get to sleep at night. They grew up so fast, Gubba. Yeah, kids too, today, kid. I'm messing up this one sentence. Yeah, kids today, so they do that. Not in my day. I blame the clean water they drink. The old friends left the team for some drinks of their own, but the teens were never too far from the topic of conversation. 5 feet and 1 prosthetic foot thundered on the halls in a desperate bid to get rid of to get to their target. Before the undrinkable drink was drunk, the destination seemed so far away. Every step forward went on for miles. They had to stop and start squeezing past folks having a good time, unaware of the tragedy happening at the table just out of reach. Fish, could you not stop them instead of getting us smeared a bit? Have you seen me? I'm a scholar, not a fighter. Now, Astrid, she is more inclined than me to do that sort of thing. The sands in the hourglass were nearly up, so to speak. It might seem like I am exaggerating the situation in the way I am telling you this, but if you think that, you obviously never had yak nog. 30 feet, 20 feet, 15 feet, 10 feet from the table, Hick and Merida at long lodge left the crowd. Look, Hit, we are just in time, said Merida. Unfortunately, Fish Legs got his second wind and got the crowd apart a second time. The problem was he just did not stop running. He tripped and fell headfirst on top of them, pinning his friends to the floor. They watched helplessly as the twins passed 2 cuts of Yagnog to Jack and Rapunzel. They put the cuts to their lips. No! Screamed 2 Vikings and 1 Scot. The world slowed down to a trickle. Hick, Mare, and Fish were caught in amber, scrambling to stop them. Scott and twins grinned in anticipation. The Spirit of Winter and the Sun Princess then took a huge gulp. It was too late for them now. Jack and Rapunzel did not know what hit them. They never tasted something that bad in their lives, and Jack had been flying around for a long, long time. Scott and the twins was having a whale of a time at this point. 3 at the table who had not drunk the Yagna were hunched double with laughter, making their sides hurt, holding the foul concoction in their mouths, trying not to swallow it at all. They soon caught onto the prank and had been pulled. They looked at one another and decided it had been only fair to them that they enjoy this fine drink. Scott and the twins howled like wolves with laughter. Then Jack and Rapunzel spat out the contents all over them. Snot's anger had got the better of him and stormed off right after he saw the thick drink dripping off his nose. The twins stopped laughing, then got a good look at themselves, and just started laughing again. Hick and Merida got under Fish and gave him some water to wash the taste out, then told off the twins who were still giggling, but all was soon forgiven, and much more palpable with food and drink covered the table. Astrid sat next to the new couple. Snot did come back eventually to make the table cooler, he said. More like hunger's sake, if you ask me. Tide passed and more stories of strange people and even stranger lands drifted over the cooked meats, breads, and soups. Rapunzel, Hiccup, and Merida drew pictures while Jack made little ice statues to help explain things better. He acted out all the parts he did for his sister long ago. He stopped and thought about her and his mum. They saw all who was at the table smiling, and he did not feel so alone in his soul, like when he found Elsa on that fateful day in the Ariandel Mountains. They talked about light doing battle with the dark in the past and today and in days to come. A team of 6 heroes in armor, a family from the far-flung past, the Snow Queen, which the teens teased Jack about with kissy faces. He almost blushed. A mad investor and a daredevil dancer, a girl and her white dog, cat and hamster, she who fought the other monsters, the other mother, a boy that sees ghosts and another boy raised by trolls, a kind vampire and a villain-turned-loving father helped by an army of yellow things, the ogre and his donkey pal. The list could go on and on, but what was most special As unbeknownst to the rest, two hands searched for and found each other under the table. Merida and Hiccup sat and smiled, pretending nothing was going on. No one saw it except for Astrid, who smiled as well, and under her breath said something so soft that you would swear that she hadn't said a single word at all, but she did say something about time dummies. Well, I enjoyed that, and I hope you did too. When Jack told me the tale of the first kiss of Merricup, he did it with more flair than I ever could. I would like to believe the Man in the Moon had his hand in this. I would never dream to think that Hicks and Mary's actions was nothing but 100% of their own. But he works in mysterious ways, that Man in the Moon. He sends the teens to place to do the most good there, just his time instead of a great darkness to fight, or a kingdom to save. It was just two shy people that had to be helped. But what do I know? All I do know is I love warm hugs. Thank you for reading your narrator off the Snowman. So that's the reading of Merricup, and wow, I did way faster. So here are my thoughts on the story. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 10. I did record it a couple days ago, and I was much longer and fine-tuned to it. But I actually did like the story. I like the idea. Granted, you need some context to read about half the stuff, which this is more like a side story over the entire series he kind of created. I don't think it's bad. I just think there are a lot of grammar errors. There is dialogue problems. Most of the. Let me put okay. Okay, so all right. Let's use this last paragraph as an example, right here. I guess you can say limerick, so to speak. Let's spot how many unnecessary grammar errors are there right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I guess you can kind of count this one. 8. This can say a thing because that's technically a name. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. I guess you can kind of have Olaf, the Snowman, capitalized because it's technically part of Olaf's title. But yeah, there's a lot of grammar errors like this all scattered throughout the stories. There are unnecessary commas. There's missing punctuation. There's a couple of missing quotation marks somewhere in there. I didn't really mention it in this video specifically because it's a re-recording, and the original video went well over an hour, and I really, really don't want to go over an hour this time. I think it's a decent story. It's a simple love story, nothing wrong with it. The characters are on point. I have nothing wrong with the characters. The pacing is fine. It's really the only problem with this. There's a lot of grammar errors, including like parts where there's lots and lots when there's nothing but dialogue. Like all right here. Okay, like right here. This is what's called a dialogue chain. And usually in stories, and the author, when I did first bring this up in the original video, the author did say, well, it's used in, let me get the comment, because once I finish this video, I'm going to be deleting the original video. How I missed some of the spelling mistake confused me as I went through this. As for the dialogue, that's how it looks like in a book. How you're seeing dialogue as if it was a movie script. And I will say this: I actually replied to the comment on that, saying he's technically right. If you look at a script, it is structured like that, but that's purely dialogue. And so, what a dialogue chain is when there's parts where it's literally nothing but dialogue. In movies, they're used for scripts. That's fair. He's actually completely right. But there are parts in stories where there's nothing but two or more characters talking, and there's very, very little prose. Prose is the term to describe any non-part of dialogue. There's a dialogue, anything in quotation marks, and then there's the prose, anything out of dialogue, anything out of quotation marks. And there are such a thing as dialogue very heavy stories. Like, a lot of dramas are very, very dialogue heavy. Like, if you read a lot, like, I read a lot. And there are certain authors who actually, do styles differently. Some authors use dialogue more often than not. Some use, like Dean Koontz. Dean Koontz doesn't really, I guess, based on the books I read by him, he's not a big fan of dialogue. He's actually very, very atmosphere heavy. He uses a lot of prose. He uses a lot of words to build up the atmosphere and build up the scenery and try and figure out ways to, like, describe everything as much as possible. That's his writing style. There are other instances where there is more dialogue heavy writing. I believe a good example in the modern day is Tommy Hoagie. I believe her writing style is very dialogue heavy. I don't know for sure. I've read one story, and that's really a bad idea to base someone's writing style on one story. Because certain authors like Stephen King and James Patterson, they can switch writing styles on a dime and everything. And stuff like that. And there are such a thing as dialogue-only stories. Dialogue-only stories pretty much are more mysterious stories because they're open-ended in execution, and there's literally no prose at all. It's literally just all dialogue. It's literally only dialogue, and that's just used to have just one conversation, and it's used as something of a tool to help people figure out how dialogue works and stuff like that, and keep the conversation going without using prose. It's more of a challenge piece than anything else, but there are dialogue-only pieces. So that's my second attempt at reading this Dummies. Hopefully the audio doesn't go kaput. This has been Dark Symphony 777, and cut.